allow me to start with a story of someone very close to me. Now let's give that someone a name. Let's call that someone Maya. Now Maya is brilliant at giving advice to other people. Now, her sister calls her up the other day and starts venting about her demanding boss. And Maya replies, "You need to stop taking it, you need to stop absorbing, and you need to speak up." Directly, confidently, she says her. Now let's see how Maya is in her own story. Maya in her own story is a completely different person. In her own marriage, she cannot be recognized. Her partner misses her important dates, their birthdays, anniversaries, everything. And Maya makes herself understand that it's okay. He has been busy lately and maybe work has caught him up. So it's all right. Then, next situation, he does not show up for the child's parents-teacher meeting. He does not show up for the child's any of the events. And when Maya gets very hurt and goes to him and asks, "Why didn't you come?" And he replies that he actually gets very defensive and replies, "How are you even asking me this question? You know how occupied I have been." And Maya feels ashamed of even bringing this up to him. She feels so bad that I've become such a small person that I'm going and complaining this to him. He dismisses her feelings mid-conversations and Maya feels, it's okay, maybe I'm not able to explain my feelings well enough or clear enough. I'll try harder next time. And so on and so forth. All of this continues. Her friends can see all of this. Her friends say to Maya that, "Why are you even allowing him to get away with all of this? Why don't you stop this?" And Maya says, it is all okay. All relationships require a little compromise, a little adjustments, and it is all out of love. So there's nothing to worry. But the question is, when does this compromise turn into self-erasure? When do we make these little compromise and start disappearing ourselves? What is the difference between being flexible and being disappearing? What is the difference between being adjusting and adjusting out of existence? So here's what I've learned. Women for a very long time have been socially conditioned to endure emotional betrayal through silent adjustments. Being taught that accommodation is love. We have been taught that our emotional needs are always negotiable. But it is very important to recognize this invisible line between healthy compromise and self-erasure. This is the first step to reclaim authentic emotional choice. So how many of you can really relate to Maya? How many of you have found yourself in situations where you have tried to make life of people around you more comfortable and ignored yourself? So let me tell you, this is not a story of a weak woman, but an emotional, a psychological mechanism which is so effective, so embedded that we mistake self-abandonment for virtue. And until we can see this line clearly, we cannot make authentic emotional choices. We can only choose patterns we didn't consciously choose. Now let's go back and see where this invisibility got really built up. When this little girl, the small girl Maya, is polite, helpful and kind, she gets noticed. People admire her. But on the other hand, when she becomes loud, angry and demanding, that very attention turns into correction. Now this girl Maya sees her aunt, her grandmother, her mother, always eating last, speaking less and demanding literally nothing. And all of this is not taught as an emotional loss, but all of this is taught as something that we do out of love. It has been, research has shown us that women receive more praise for being accommodating and more correction for causing conflict. Now, let's see Maya in adulthood. When Maya is a teenager and she says she's hurt by exclusion, so she's been told, "Don't take it personally, you're overthinking." The message is clear, the line does not exist. There's no such thing as too much adjustment. So now, when this line becomes invisible, women start treating their emotional reality as a problem. Maya stops saying, "I feel hurt." She starts saying, "I am probably overreacting." She stops saying that this is not working for me and rather goes on to say that maybe I'm not able to do it in a better way. The line says it's invisible because it serves a very specific social function. When women automatically accommodate, system runs smoothly, emotional labor is absorbed, conflict is avoided. Women who adjust endlessly is called mature and easy to be with. A woman who holds boundary is labeled as difficult or demanding. And one of the most important studies that you will be surprised to know that one of the biggest trigger for a woman is not being selfish but being perceived as being selfish. Only the perception of being, seen as someone who is selfish, she fears that the most. So out of social disapproval, she starts to give in into the system and she starts to disappear herself into the system. One day, Maya sits with her friend and her friend is going through something very similar in life, and she tells her that these days I am very much, complaining a lot. This didn't used to happen earlier. I don't know, maybe I am overreacting. The time for Maya stops and she hears her own story through her friend. And she said, no, you're not overreacting. Your silence was not your consent. Now it is something that you cannot take anymore. You need to speak up. That very night, Maya goes home and takes out her journal and writes the things. On one page, she writes the things that her partner has adjusted for her, and on one page, she writes the things she has adjusted. And you will be surprised to know that the things she has adjusted could not be written on one single page, and the things his partner has adjusted for her were blank. And she stopped. She could recognize the line. She could recognize this invisible line. She could recognize where she was disappearing. Recognizing the problem is the first step towards solving that problem. What happens is Maya does not leave the relationship immediately, but she stops questioning her reality, stops calling erasure compromise, stops treating her needs as optional. She starts asking a different question. She stops asking, am I asking for too much, but is there room for me here as I actually am? All I want you to take from this talk is if to recognize the line and, be yourself unapologetically. If any one of you also choose yourself, that too without any apology, I think my mission will be fulfilled. Thank you.